Hello and welcome to the Ink and Crew World Card Making Day event. We are really excited to have you here, and I do apologize. Normally I would be going live out in the group, but I have an event this weekend, a family event, with my mom is being honored for some things that she has done with an organization that she is working with. So they're having a small event, you know, all socially distanced and masked and, you know, gloved gown, the whole 9 yards to honor her. And so I wanted to attend that event. And unfortunately, they were both on the same weekend. So apparently no one asked me if I had plans. So I do apologize. Like I said, it's a little weird for me not being live with you guys, but I'm going to do my best to get through the video and hopefully not fumble around too much. So I appreciate y'all being here. Hopefully you're having fun in the group and enjoying the projects that we're sharing. And like I said, you know, just kind of, we wanted to make it a fun day, and we've got videos. Either I'll be the only one with the pre-recorded video. Everything else will be live, so you'll be able to see everyone else's videos live out there. So hopefully all will be good and you'll enjoy the day. So let me go ahead and get going on the card. I don't mean to carry on for too long about it. My name is Amy Kunders, and I'm Stamp with Amy K. If you don't follow me, that is fine. But just wanted to let you know who I was, and that was, you know, who it was that was doing the chatting right now. So, all right. So this is my card that we're going to be making today. You know, it's just a basic good fall card with one of my favorite stamp sets from the mini catalog, which is the Life is Beautiful stamp set. And again, it's available right now in the current mini catalog, which I'm pretty excited about. I love this stamp set, and I love the new catalog too. So I shouldn't even call it new anymore. I keep calling it new, but it's really not that new. It's been around for a little while. So, all right, so this is the card that we're going to be making. Let me explain a couple things about it. I did use the stitched rectangles dies, and I used it to cut around the stamped image here as well as around the sentiment. So I used, gosh, I think it was this one. Yep. So it's the third from the largest die that I used to cut around the stamped image, and then I used the second from the smallest one here for the sentiment. So I will be setting those aside and be die cutting here on screen with you. The background of the card, or the card base, is early espresso cardstock, and it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. My original one, I actually did 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5, so it opens a little differently. But it's the same card base, no matter, you know, or same card front, no matter which card base you choose to use. So you can, like I said, you can take your pick and do whatever you want, using a little multi-purpose liquid glue and some of my very favorite designer series paper, which is the In Good Taste designer paper. And it is a huge pack of paper, and it does happen to be on sale this month, so yay for that. So this piece of paper is cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5. And I'm just adhering it with the liquid glue so that it covers hopefully the whole card front. Liquid glue and I don't always get along. I find it a little messy to use, so usually I use Stampin' Seal or glue dots or something like that for projects. But for this one, where I was adhering the entire piece over the card front, I like to have a little extra wiggle room, so I go ahead and use the liquid glue on that. And then I'm using another one of my very favorite designer papers for this card. I have got a piece of the Plaid Tidings designer series paper, and it is cut to 2.5 by 5.5. And then I've got a piece of Bumblebee cardstock that is cut to 2 5/8 by 5.5. And I'm just going to adhere those one on top of the other. So again, this the Plaid Tidings designer series paper is also on the 15% off sale from Stampin' Up! This month. So that is an awesome deal. And just wanted to remind you, if you're interested in purchasing any of the products that we are showing you in the videos or showing you with the card projects that we're making today, you are very welcome to purchase them through whatever Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from our team, from the Ink and Crew, has invited you to the page. We'd love to have you purchase with your demonstrator. So no matter who's showing you the products, we definitely would like you to purchase with the person that referred you here. So definitely let us know, or if you have any questions about that, or if you're looking for a demonstrator and need help to find one, we are happy to have someone on our team help you out with an order. All right, so I'm just going to adhere this to the card front, and I'm going to take a second and hope that I get everything fairly centered here. and straight. That's the other thing that I usually try to get on the card front is centered and straight. All right, I think I did it on that one. Next up, we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I have got soft suede. Even though the card base is early espresso, I thought it was a little too dark for the tree, so I went with soft suede instead. So I've got that for the ink for the tree. And again, this is the Life is Beautiful stamp set that I'm using here. And just inked it up well with soft suede. And I'm going to stamp it sort of off to the side here a little bit, just so that I can get the sentiment and things to fit around where I want them to on the card front. So just straight down and then straight back up, and it looks like I got a fairly good image with that. So I'm going to close up my soft suede ink before I end up making a mess with that. The next thing that I did was actually just did a little bit of inking with some sponge daubers and ink pads. So I've got Bumblebee ink. I'm going to start with that one since it's it's probably a toss-up between Pumpkin Pie and Bumblebee as to which one is lighter. But I feel like the yellow is a little bit lighter, so I'm going to start with the lightest color first. And I'm just taking a sponge dauber and just adding a little bit of ink sort of here and there on the card front, or on the leaf image from the Life is Beautiful stamp set. I'm going to take Pumpkin Pie next. And again, a sponge dauber, just tapping it lightly on the ink pad, and then I'm just going to add in a little bit of the Pumpkin Pie ink, again, sort of here and there on the image. And then I'm going to come back in with Cajun Craze. And again, just a little light tap on the ink pad, and adding a little ink here and there to the leaves on the image here. And then we're going to stamp it over the tree that I've previously stamped on the card front. All right. And that should give us kind of a nice sort of multicolored fall leafy look. Then we need to go ahead. I'm going to stamp this off a little bit in hopes that I don't mix everything together as I'm re-inking it. But we are going to need to re-ink it a little bit. Got Bumblebee again that we're going to start with. And if you want to completely clean your image off in between times, you can certainly do that. Just use the Stampin' scrub or the name is escaping me. I want to call it a squeegee, but I know it's not the squeegee. The chamois. There we go. Good heavens. Eventually it comes to me. All right, so back in with Pumpkin Pie ink here, and just adding a little bit sort of here and there throughout the image. And then the last one I'm going to add is a little bit of Cajun Craze. And just going to add that around on the leaves to get everything covered. And then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to stamp it sort of over the top of where I had previously stamped, but not completely covering everything, just kind of giving it a little, finishing out the image a little bit. So some of it's over stamped and some of it is just stamped once. So that is sort of the look that I wanted for the fall trees. All right, next up, I have got a little garden green ink, and I am going to actually ink up. First, I'm tearing off a couple little pieces of a Post-it note, and I'm going to cover up the little bird images on the birdhouse. And then I'm going to ink it with garden green ink, and I'm going to come back in with the Cajun Craze ink just right around the edges to ink up the little birds. So again, Post-it notes are something that I love, and I use a ton anyway. I'm the Post-it note queen. My team members laugh at me, but yep, I got them stuck everywhere. But it's nice, it's handy that they come in and they work well for stamping projects too. All right, so I've inked that in garden green, and then I'm going to come back in here. I've got my Cajun Craze ink pad open, and I'm just going to carefully use the edge of it to just put ink on the little birds and try not to get any on the birdhouse, so that we've got, it's two different colors. I didn't necessarily want green birds, so that's why I went with the Cajun Craze instead, and just stamping that right underneath the little tree. The final bit of stamping that I'm going to do on this image is in Pear Pizzazz ink. And just going to use, well, I think this is supposed to be like the ground or the dirt or the, whatever, grass is what I'm calling it. Just going to stamp that around the base of the tree on both sides. And then we're going to do a little bit of die cutting. All right, so again, I'm going to be using one of the stitched rectangle dies, and it is the third largest one. And I'm just going to take this for a second, and I'm going to turn to my side and go run it through my die cutting machine. I don't have my die cutting machine on the table in front of me because it does wiggle the table quite a bit, and I know it sort of makes you seasick. So I'm going to zoom right over here and die cut this. Hopefully not wiggling the table like crazy. All right. If you have any questions about anything that we're doing here, feel free to post them in the links of the video, or post them anywhere in the group, and we'll be happy to answer what we can for you. I will also be posting the details for this card out on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. So if you're welcome to go take a peek, and I will have all of the information posted out there as far as cardstock cuts and that sort of thing, so you can take a closer look at it and some pictures of it as well. So I have got a piece of early espresso cardstock that I have pre-cut here, and it is cut to 3 1/8 by 4 1/2, and it should fit perfectly underneath the die cut image that I've done here. And using a little Stampin' Seal to adhere the two pieces together. All right, see if I can get this centered and straight as well. That's always my goal. Okay, and then I used a little Stampin' Seal to also adhere this to the card front. Now I did kind of keep it more towards the center because I wanted it to be stuck on the designer paper. It's a little bit layered already. If I'd put it way out to the edges, it kind of would have stuck and bowed a little bit, so I just wanted it to be stuck on the designer paper in the center of the card. So I'm going to go ahead and again, just sort of, it's actually, the plaid is kind of nice on the background because it helps me to line it up straight this way at least, and hopefully straight between the two as well. The next thing that I'm going to add is a little bit of the Bumblebee gingham ribbon, and this is 1/4 inch wide, and just going to add a little strip of it kind of right across here on the card front. And I don't need to use a huge piece of Stampin' Seal to put it down, but kind of just enough to stick it to the card front in the place that I want it. And then I'm going to put my sentiment over the top of it anyway, so it'll be held down with the sentiment as well. So just going to do a little piece of it, trim it off here, and I can always trim it shorter. One thing I have learned with ribbon is that you can always cut it shorter. It's really difficult to make it longer. So I tend to oversize things, and we can always trim them down rather than trying to figure out or having to redo it completely because I've totally messed it up. So, all right, we've got Bumblebee ink here and this sentiment from the Life is Beautiful stamp set. And this actually says "Life is Beautiful," which is a pretty little sentiment and one of my favorites from the set. Just going to stamp it on a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and then I'm going to come back in with one of the stitched rectangle dies, and it is the second to the smallest one of the narrower dies, and we're just going to run this through the die cutting machine again. So I'm going to step over here to the side and do that so I don't wiggle the table all over. Hopefully y'all are stamping and working on some projects while you're watching us too. It's a fun day, and I love that card making day is actually being honored by everybody throughout the world today. So definitely should be fun, and hopefully you're with some card making friends, at least online, and having a good time doing a little stamping today. All right, so I've got the sentiment die cut, and I'm just going to add a couple Stampin' Dimensionals to the back of it. Now, I do trim my Stampin' Dimensionals. I cut them in half, and I know there's always controversy about people either love the idea of cutting them in half or they hate it. And you can be in either camp and still be here, and it's just fine. I tend to cut mine in half just because I like the way they fit on things better, and I feel like, I don't know, they hold just as well, and I just like the way they fit better on most things. And I've converted a few people, and some people say no way, never, which is just fine too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the card front. And then we're going to add a couple of the gold glitter enamel dots Got a couple of those here on the sheet. Just going to add them sort of randomly around the card front. And we will be done with the front of the card. Let's stick one over here, and then I think we'll use the small one maybe right here by the sentiment. All right, and that is all for the card front. So kept it pretty clean and simple, just did a little fall card for you. On the inside of the card, it's equally as simple. I just did Whisper White cardstock, which is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And then I've got a 1/2 inch strip that I had trimmed off from the card front when I was making cutting the designer paper for the card front. This is again that same In Good Taste Designer Series paper. And I'm just adhering the 2 pieces together. Going to flip it over and trim off the excess. I tend to leave a little bit extra on it because, again, it's always easier to trim things away than it is to add to them. And it also gives me sort of a little bit of a lever. I don't know if that makes sense, but makes it a little easier for me to move things around on the card front if I've got a little, or on the inside of the card if I've got a little extra piece of the designer paper to work with. All right, so let me go ahead and adhere this to the inside of the card base and fold it closed, and we will be all done with the card. So I appreciate you all watching. I appreciate you joining in our group. Hopefully you have a good time today, and don't forget to leave your comments on some of the posts that we've got going to make sure that you're entered to win. So lots of good stuff that we'll be giving away today. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. Again, I am so sorry that I'm not able to actually join you live today. I will be out on the Facebook page and commenting, but I just wasn't able to bring, because I'm going out of town for this event, just wasn't able to bring all my supplies with me to do my video. So thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks so much for checking out my video. Hopefully you will pick up the stamp set and this pretty designer paper. And again, just let me know if you have any questions. We so appreciate you being here, and have a fantastic rest of the day. I can't wait to see everyone else's videos. Talk with you all soon.